Welcome to the CRC-Evans training video featuring the P600 external pipe welding system. The P600 dual torch system weighs 45 pounds or 20.45 kilograms. The wire spool weight is 33 pounds or 15 kilograms. The oscillation rate ranges from 0 to 250 beats per minute. The wire feed speed ranges from 100 to 625 inches per minute, or 0.56 to 16 meters per minute. Travel speed for the P600 ranges from 4 to 60 inches per minute, or 0.1 to 1.52 meters per minute. The required power for the P600 is 36 volts DC, and the effective temperature range is negative 40 degrees Celsius to positive 70 degrees Celsius. The P600 external pipe welding system includes a twin torch external welder, a smart card programmable console with touchscreen interface and external wire feeders, a digital gateway for each torch, a remote operator control pendant, power supplies, service leads, and a water cooling system for heat management of the torches. Everything you need to rig up and begin welding is right here. The only items not included are gas, wire, and coolant. The P600 circumnavigates the pipe on a CRC-Evans pipe band. To attach the P600 to the band, grip the side handle, allowing the bug to hang sideways. You'll see the travel motor if you've picked it up correctly. Place your knee under the bug and close the top latch. This will lock the bug on the band. Then, close the bottom latch. Be sure the band is inserted in the bottom groove of the roller. For ease of explanation, the CPU console is shown here in a horizontal position to expose the plugs for viewing. The P600's cables and their corresponding plugs possess matching part numbers. Simply match the cable to the plug and plug it in. Starting on the right side and working left, we'll plug in the CPU's cables. The first cable is for the trail torch wire feed motor. This cable provides power and communication for the trail torch wire feeder. Next is the 36 volt power supply, which supplies DC power for the system. Then, the remote operator control pendant. The pendant allows the operator to control various aspects of the P600 system. The sensing cable provides the CPU with information for through-the-arc tracking for both torches. Next is power and communication for the bug. Then, power and communication for the lead torch gateway. Next is volts and amps for the bug. The volts and amps from the bug provide information to the CPU for through-the-arc tracking. Last is the cable for the lead torch wire feed motor. This cable provides power and communication to the lead torch wire feeder. Now, with the CPU console in the vertical position, we'll continue installing the P600. We'll begin with the 36 volt DC power supply. Coming from the CPU console, we'll start with power and communication for the lead torch gateway. Then, connect the local net from the lead torch power supply. The gas solenoid control cable controls the solenoids during welding. Connect both 2-pin Molex connectors coming from the solenoid. Next, install the gas quick disconnect to the gateway and attach the gas line to the wire feeder. Connect the gas quick disconnect, and the lead torch now has gas for welding. Coming from the CPU's lead torch wire feed motor plug, connect the 6-pin encoder cable and the 2-pin power cable. Plug in the lead torch sensing to the Hall probe just above the wire feeder. Then plug in the positive sensing for the lead torch. The lead torch gateway and wire feeder are connected. Next, connect the power and communication cable from the output of the lead torch gateway to the input of the trail torch gateway. The input is the second plug from the right. And plug in the terminating resistor. The system will not function correctly without it. Then, the local net from the trail torch power supply, the solenoid control cable. Plug in the power for the solenoids. Attach the gas quick disconnect to the trail torch gateway. Then attach the gas line to the wire feeder and connect the gas quick disconnect. Then, connect the CPU's trail torch wire feed motor cable to the trail torch's encoder and power cables. Attach sensing for the trail torch. The trail torch gateway and wire feeder are hooked up and ready. Next, we'll install the P600 torches. Starting at the wire feeder, insert the end of the torch in the holder and snug it down. Then connect the torch's built-in water cooling system. Repeat the process for the trail torch. Next, place the whips in their respective holders. And secure them to the rear support arm. Leave enough slack to prevent wire restriction. Next, connect the bug's power and communication cable and the bug's volts and amps cable from the CPU console. The P600 external weld system uses a water cooling system for heat management of the torches. The torch bodies come with coolant lines built in. The blue water icon designates coolant flow to the torches, while the red icon is designated the return flow. Take the lead torch coolant lines, marked with the red bands, attach the lead torch coolant lines. Connect one end to the flow out spigot and one end to the return spigot. Repeat the process with the trail torch. Once the lines are connected, be sure the spigots are open prior to welding. At the power supplies, attach the positive lead, the negative lead, and the local net cable for each unit. The P600 weld system requires two 33-pound spools of wire for normal operation. To install wire in the P600, open the cabinet and slide the spool over the spool holder. Trim the end of the wire, guide it through the cabinet and into the wire drive wheels. Press wire feed on the pendant until the wheels take the wire. Repeat the process for the trail torch. Once wire is installed, hold down the wire feed button until wire emerges from the torch tips. To change a tip, remove the torch from the torch holder. Remove the gas cup. Loosen the tip collar. Remove the tip. Insert a new tip and retighten the tip collar to snug. Replace the gas cup and return the torch to the torch holder. The CPU console contains a touchscreen for interaction with the P600 system. To interface with the console, a user must possess a CRC-Evans smart card. The card control screen verifies the smart card's access level, followed by system information, the old system messages or tattletale screen, manual checks, the tilt screen, job parameters, weld parameters, and the mark weld screen. To program the CPU, insert a smart card into the console. On the card control screen, in the bottom left corner, select Read Weld Parameters from Card. The system will ask you if you're sure you wish to replace the system parameters with those contained on the smart card. Select Yes, and the system downloads the parameters. It is also possible to load the system parameters onto the card. On the card control screen, select Write Weld Parameters to Card. Select Yes, and the system will upload the parameters to the smart card. That's it. You've just installed the P600 external pipe welding system. Now let's take a look at system operation. This is the remote control operator pendant. With the pendant, the operator controls a variety of actions. The operator is able to raise and lower the torch heads, move them left or right. The operator is able to feed wire, travel, and reverse travel the bug, oscillate the torches, test contacts in the power supply and purge gas, select which head to affect while welding, lead or trail. Select which weld pass to utilize. Select which torch to affect, lead, trail, or both, when preparing to weld. Use the speed pot to slow down or speed up the bug while welding. To split the torches for split cap applications, press and hold stop. Then press the oscillate button. The torches will split according to the system software. Pressing cycle arc twice starts the weld cycle. Pressing the stop button stops all actions according to the system software. The P600 system is digital and therefore requires no calibration. However, it is recommended to perform a manual check of the travel and wire feed systems to be sure the system is working correctly. To perform a manual check for travel speed, insert the smart card and navigate to the manual check screen by pressing Previous or Next menu. Select Turn On to activate the manual check system. Make a mark on the pipe next to the lead torch tip. Press Travel on the pendant and the bug will travel for 15 seconds. The manual check screen displays the requested inches per minute, the actual inches per minute, and the run period of the test. When the bug stops, the manual check screen displays the actual distance in inches per minute. Measure the distance traveled from the mark on the pipe to the torch tip. Multiply by 4, and that will give you your travel speed in inches per minute. Match your answer to the manual check screen. To manually check the wire feed speed, remove the torch from its holder. Feed some wire and bend it at a 90-degree angle at the tip. The manual check screen displays requested inches per minute, actual inches per minute, and the run period of the test. Turn the manual check screen on and press wire feed on the pendant. Wire will feed for 6 seconds. When the check is finished, the manual check screen will display the actual inches per minute. Measure from the torch tip to the bend. Multiply by 10, and this will give you the wire feed speed in inches per minute. Again, match your answer to the manual check screen. Once you've finished your checks, turn off the manual check screen by pressing Turn Off. There is one calibration necessary. That is the calibration of the tilt sensor. To calibrate the tilt sensor, navigate to the tilt screen. In the lower left corner, select Calibrate. The tilt calibration screen will then display Calibration Enabled and display 5 numbers: 0 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 135 degrees, and 180 degrees. A CRC technician will place the bug in the 0-degree position and select 0 degrees on the touch screen. At each requested degree, the technician will move the bug and select the corresponding degree on the tilt screen. When you finish the calibration, every degree point will display Yes. Press Calibration Enabled to exit back to the tilt screen. Now that the tilt sensor is calibrated, the tilt screen displays the bug's place on the pipe. The P600 offers through-the-arc tracking for both of its torches. To enable or disable tracking, navigate to the Weld Parameters screen. On the Weld Parameters screen in the lower left corner are 2 buttons, top and bottom. Select bottom, and the tracking parameters will appear on the screen. We'll be enabling both cross and vertical tracking. Select Disabled on the touch screen. This will take you to the Tracking Enable Disable page. Choose Enable. Enabled will appear in the new box confirming your choice. Select Enter in the lower right-hand corner. The Weld Parameter screen will reappear with the new tracking designation. Repeat for the remaining tracking parameters. The pendant will register tracking for the lead and trail torches. Once tracking is on, the system is ready to weld. Let's take a look at a typical weld cycle. With the bug in place, the wire is ready to feed, and our gas is hooked up. Our weld parameters have been programmed into the CPU via smart card. With a ground attached to the pipe, with the bug in place, the operator presses the cycle arc button once to begin the weld cycle. The bug will begin to travel and gas will flow. The operator presses the cycle arc button a second time to begin welding, closing the contactors in the power supplies and initiating wire feed. At the end of the weld pass, press stop on the pendant. This ceases all operations according to the software. Here's a real-world weld cycle with P600s welding the first and second fills on 42-inch pipe. The ditch side welder starts his weld in the vertical position, while the work side welder starts on top of the pipe. The ditch side welder starts first to allow him to reach the bottom before the work side welder does. Because tracking is enabled, the ditch side welder fires off the bug, hangs up the pendant, and grinds the tie-in under the pipe. The second torch fires automatically, and immediately tracking takes control of the torch. Meanwhile, the workside welder is grinding the tie-in on top of the pipe and starting his weld. Once the bug is welding, the welder protects the arcs of his torches as the ditch side helper grinds the tie-in. The ditch side welder also protects his arcs by blocking the grinder's sparks and the wind that it generates. The workside welder's pass is well underway, and all he has to do is observe. The ditch side welder has reached the bottom and is ready to start on top of the pipe. On the work side, the welder is about to enter the bottom quadrant of the weld. The ditch side helper pushes the bug to the top of the band. On the work side, the welder has reached the bottom of the pipe and is tied in with the ditch side welder's pass. The ditch side welder ties in and completes the weld. The helpers clean the bugs, particularly the spatter on the gas cups. The ditch side welder grinds his final tie-in and prepares for the next weld. Let's review. The P600 circumnavigates the pipe on a CRC-Evans pipe band. To attach the bug to the band, pick it up by the side handle. Support the bug with your leg and close the top latch. Then, close the bottom latch, ensuring the band is inserted in the bottom groove of the roller. Hooking up the P600 is made simple by the matching part numbers. Every cable is labeled and matches a corresponding plug. We'll start with the trail wire feed motor cable, which provides power and communication to the trail wire feed motor. Then, the 36-volt power, the remote pendant, which controls the P600 system. Sensing connects to both wire feeders and provides through-the-arc sensing information for the CPU. Power and communication for the bug. Power and communication for the digital gateways. Volts and amps for the bug. And the lead torch wire feed motor cable, which provides power and communication for the lead torch wire feeder. That's it for the CPU console. Plug in the local net from the lead torch power supply. Then the gas solenoid power cable. Attach the gas quick disconnect and the gas line to the wire feeder. Connect the gas quick disconnect and the lead torch has gas for welding. Connect the power communication out cable from the lead torch gateway to the input on the trail torch gateway. Plug in the terminating resistor, the local net to the trail torch power supply, the gas solenoid power cable, attach the gas quick disconnect and the gas line to the trail wire feeder. Then connect the trail torch gas quick disconnect. To install the torches, insert the torch into the wire feeder and snug it down. Connect the water coolant lines. Repeat the process for the trail torch. At the bug, insert the torch tips into the torch holders and tighten. Then, fasten the whips to the rear arm support. The water coolant system is easy to hook up. Attach the coolant lines to the spigots. Remember to attach one line to the red and one to the blue for each torch. Turn on the spigots when everything is attached. At the power supplies, plug in the positive and negative weld leads for each torch. The P600 requires two 33-pound spools of wire. To install the wire, slide the spool onto the spool holder. Trim the wire and guide it through the cabinet and into the wire feeder. Press wire feed on the pendant to feed the wire through the wire drive wheels and into the torch. Repeat the process for the trail torch. When both torches have wire installed, press and hold the wire feed button until wire emerges from the tips. To change a tip, remove the gas cup, loosen the lock nut and remove the tip. Replace it with a new one. Tighten the lock nut and replace the gas cup. To interface with the P600 CPU, the operator uses the touch screen. Insert a CRC-Evans smart card. The card control screen verifies the smart card and displays the access level of the card holder. Screens available are the card control screen, system information, old system messages or the tattletale screen, the manual check screen, the tilt screen, job parameters, weld parameters, and the mark weld screen. To program the P600 system, insert the smart card. On the bottom of the card control screen, select Read Weld Parameters from Card. The system will ask you if you're sure. Select Yes, and the system will download the parameters stored on the card. The remote control pendant is how the operator controls the P600 weld system. To manually check the travel and wire feed speeds, go to the manual check screen and turn on manual checks. To check the travel speed, mark the position of the lead torch on the pipe. Press travel on the pendant. Measure from the mark on the pipe to the torch tip and multiply by 4, and that will give you your travel speed in inches per minute. Match your answer to the manual check screen. To check the wire feed speed, bend the wire at the torch tip. Turn manual check on. Press wire feed on the pendant and wire will feed for 6 seconds. Measure the wire and multiply by 10, and this will give you the wire feed speed in inches per minute. Check your answer against the manual check readout. To perform a tilt calibration, select Calibrate on the tilt screen. Place the bug at the degrees listed on the screen and select each degree point as you do so. To enable through-the-arc tracking, navigate to the Weld Parameters menu. Scroll through the parameters until you find cross-tracking and vertical tracking. Touch the screen where the word Disabled is displayed. This brings you to the Tracking Enabled Disabled screen. Choose Enable and enter. Do so for both cross and vertical tracking. The pendant will display if tracking is enabled or disabled. At this point, you're ready to weld. With the bug in position, press the Cycle Arc button twice. The bug will start welding, and through the arc tracking will keep the torch in the center of the bevel. Because auto start-stop is enabled, the trail torch fires off at a pre-programmed distance from the start. Observe the P600 as it makes its weld pass. At the tie-in, press stop on the pendant and cease all operations according to the system software. We just saw how easy it is to rig up, program, and operate the P600 external pipe welding system. Its digital communication and through the arc tracking ensure quality welds time after time. Thanks again for your interest in the P600. We'll see you on the spread, and remember, weld safe.